Excellent. Okay, kia ora everyone, and welcome to the Waimariro Whendellton Waimaori Herwood Community Board for the 12th of December, opening at 4:32 p.m. So we will start the meeting with a karakia. So we'll all stand, and then we have the words on the board there.
Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mākina kia kirata, kia mātaratara ki tai. He ake ana te atakura, he tia, he huka, he hauhunga, ti hei mauri ora.
So for item 1, we have apologies, and I believe we don't have any apologies, but we might have some early departures potentially if the agenda goes on for a bit longer than expected. And then item number 2, declarations by member. So do we have any declarations?
Oh, yeah, I will fly the flag. Item 10, I live on the street where you're doing restrictions, so I won't do
Thank you.
Or item 10.
Yeah. No, great. So it's declarations of interest. So I believe we have a declaration though for Aaron. So we'll go. Sorry, there's a few declarations happening. So we've got Aaron to do your declaration for swearing in. So we've Matt here to help with that.
Yes, please. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, it's confusing.
Oh, we'll note that for the.
Yeah.
Oh, if you want to read that out.
I, Aaron Kewen, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interest of the Whendellton Waimaori Herwood community, the powers, authorities, and duties vested or imposed upon me as a member of the Waimaori Whendellton Waimaori Herwood Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Act 1987, and the other act.
Great. Excellent. So we've noted James for the conflict of interest for item 3. Any items? Any declarations of interest for any other items? No. So we will move on to item number 4, which is confirmation of the previous minutes. Or do we need to move in a second for the? So confirmation of the previous minutes. Anyone to move? Thank you, David. And to second, Linda. Okay. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Any against? No, carried. Great. So moving on to item number 5, which is public forum. So we have a few public forums here today. So with public forum, we aren't in any position to make any decisions today, but you do have 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes include questions. So the board here, we will be active listeners, and we will see what we can do afterwards. But for the first public forum, we have Belfast Rugby Club. So if Bruce would like to come to the table, is Bruce here? Or Paul? No, that's right. What we'll do is we'll put that on hold, and then we'll just move to the next one, which is Terra Viva, which is Sarah Dillon. Sarah, kia ora, Sarah. If you'd like to come to the table and just take a seat. So as mentioned, you've got 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes includes questions.
Okay.
So we're in your
speed talk.
Yeah, we're in your hands.
Okay. So yeah, I'm the group manager of Viva Cafe and Deli and the Home and Garden. I've spoken to a couple of you already about some concerns that we've got about safety in the community, particularly around Woodvale Ave and the businesses and the residential area there. We've been there for 25 years, and it'd be fair to say in the last 8 months, there's been a torrent of criminal activity around us, and it has involved our business to the point that we are now quite concerned for the safety and welfare of our employees. Briefly, we've had cars broken into in the car park, we've been burgled, we've had attempted burglary, shoplifting, you name it, it's happened. Most recently, it would be 3 weeks ago, there was a gentleman who was quite obviously casing the joint while we were having an after hours meeting. It was only 5:30, so it was early. Shooed him off. He went next door and robbed the camper van business next door while they had an employee still working on site. So that was the alarm bell set off for us, that we potentially could have someone hurt by these people coming on premises after hours. Basically, the cost to our business is huge. We've lost in stock and damages to the property about 30 grand this year. And we have spent over $50,000 on security upgrades. It's 80 grand in 8 months trying to stop this rot. It's directly, we believe, directly related to the Airport Lodge Motel having been sold and set up as an emergency social housing complex. Okay, we believe there are gang members either residing there or coming backwards and forwards to the occupants. And that serious harm. I think we're going to end up with something like that happening around the community pretty shortly. We've had staff members that have gone to walk down Waireki Road to get their lunch. They wear blue polo tops. Mongrel mob members have pulled up in cars at the shops. They have not felt safe going in there, so they've turned around and come back. We have heard of somebody being attacked by a hammer down Royvale Ave at about 7 o'clock at night. Vehicle pulling up and people coming out of the car and attacking a resident there. Our biggest questions for the council is how do we actually improve the safety of that area? We believe it's a joint effort needed between local and central government, but also there needs to be some responsibility put on the trust that's operating the housing facility. But there seems to be no process in place to ensure that these facilities are not harming the communities that are being set up in. This is not a case of not in my backyard. We know that there's a need for the housing, but there does not seem to be any thought given to the effect on the communities where those housing facilities are put. I could talk a lot more, but there's only a minute for
No, yeah, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, Sam.
You could talk for as long as you like on an issue like that, because it's frustrating to all of us.
Yeah.
Look, just the first one, and don't feel like you got to answer it, but do you know who the trust is?
No, and I've tried to find out, but I don't know. All I know is word of mouth that it's a trust that's bought it. I haven't got the ability to do a title search. I gather the City Council does.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to find that information.
Okay. All right. And I guess the second one is, well, two things. We've just approved last week an application to government for some funding around security issues, because as you'd be aware, there's a lot happening in the CBD as well, actually right across the place. And that looks like it's got some parameters to come out to the suburbs as well. So we should really pick that up when we have our meeting, Miriam. Oh, there. You snuck away when you we should pick that up when we have that meeting early next year, because we should look at everything around that. Yeah.
Yeah, probably one other thing I would say is our biggest concern is over Christmas and New Year's. There's a huge amount of those businesses. There'll be nobody there. And we feel like we're sitting ducks.
Yeah. Well, we weren't even informed that there was even something happening down. I mean, I wasn't informed as the local council.
Yeah. And that, to me, that's a huge flaw in the system, that these can be set up in communities and you not even know what's happening.
Yeah.
I see David has a question, but do you want to make a comment?
Have you also spoken to our local member of parliament and raised your
I've
issue?
finally got a hold of her today.
Yep.
I've been banging on doors for the last 3 weeks trying to get help. And yeah, she's keen to be involved in any sort of business association meeting or anything like that we can organise. I've spoken to Karen Bogue last week, and she's going to help with setting up a business group.
Yep.
We're happy to provide the location for that. And Sarah said that she'd be willing to come along to that.
We've also talked to the Christchurch North Community Patrols. So over the Christmas break, they're going to really up their presence in that area. So
okay. Yeah.
Any other questions for Sarah? No.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for taking the time to come to the board and highlight these really serious matters. I'm sure this is something that as a board and as and we can definitely look into these areas and see what can be done. So perhaps we'll be in touch with staff and yourself around what are some measures that can be taken place.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you so much, Sarah. So I don't think Bruce or Paul entered the room, have they? No. No?
Stay on mute. It's on mute. Oh, it's got there. Yeah.
That's me.
Oh,
Hybrid model, right? And then moving on to the next public forum, we have Don here to speak, a local resident for the Cobham Intermediate Footpath. Kia ora, Don.
Kia ora tātou.
So similar to before, we've got 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes include questions as well. We aren't in a position to make any decisions today, but we're active listeners.
Thank you. Yes. I'd like to raise an issue to really the heart of Fendleton, which is the effect of the rebuilding of the Burnside Primary, Cobham Intermediate and Elmdale School. The fact that the likely barrier that's going to place on movement through the suburb into the heart of Fendleton. I actually live in Periri Street, which is a little bit out to the side, but my one granddaughter goes to Fendleton School and the other to Cobham Intermediate. So they're very much part of their transit through the suburb and through to the popular Jelly Park and vice versa back to this building here, library. So it's certainly a major issue, and that could form a real barrier to the future if we don't manage pedestrian cycle access through that area. And I understand that there's been discussions with the Ministry of Education, and they initially couldn't support a pathway through one of the schools, but suggested that along the southeast boundary of the site there was a possibility of creating a cycleway, but they didn't see it as a funding option for the ministry as such, being an education issue. And since then, there's been some investigations of Waka Kotahi that they have a $35 million Support Safer Access to Children to Schools fund that's been created nationwide, and that community boards and councils would need to apply for such funding. And I'm here today really to urge you to make a case for that, because I think it's very important for children and pedestrians to have access through this area to get to the very important community facilities, looking at Jelly Park and this particular library as they move in both directions. And also for people in that block north of Fendleton Road, immediately to the north, people wanting to access facilities to the north and south. People on streets such as Woodford Terrace, and who are then sort of trapped really by this barrier, because we're never going to get access through schools, either when they're meeting or in the weekends when they're closed or out of school hours. Won't be permission to move through those areas. So it's doing something about that barrier and seeing if that pathway can't be supported by the council in terms of this funding option. So one of my children actually lives over the other side of Rickerton Road, but she cycles along Clyde Road because it has quite a good cycleway, and then comes up through Otara Street, through the reserve, up to Cobham Terrace. While she can enter that through the back way into Cobham School at the moment, she doesn't really have very good access. That cycleway will then lose its significance and safety, because it won't be a regular route if it actually is blocked to the north. And also she won't be able to get around that to get up to Jelly Park by a safe pedestrian route as she gets older and more independent, moves on to a second year at Cobham. Also, my other daughter in Fendleton Primary, they love to go swimming with their mother up through that area to get to Jelly Park. So that access will be blocked. And that I suggest that a number of people will be affected in that way. A whole lot of people will be affected by that particular route. And that affects, I think, many at Pendleton School who will want to move in that direction, westward direction. But there will be people on the other side also of Island Road who will want to come south to meet good people at the community board here and to meet in that, to use this wonderful library facility as well, who want to move south. So we're creating quite a barrier, I think, to community access. And I'm worried about the increase this will mean to parental drop-offs, which I think are a major traffic hazard, that parents will now be using Island Road to drop their children to those 3 schools. It's already a huge safety issue for the drop-off and pick-up of children. And that's going to increase if that internal access is blocked because of this barrier. And it's a huge benefit, I think, to create in this community to encourage walking and cycling. And this is one of the safe routes. The option is that children and pedestrians and cyclists will move on to Memorial Avenue or onto Clyde Road and Island Road in increasing numbers, which aren't nearly so safe. So I just urge that your support for that, and I understand that the council will need to, first of all, the board will need to have that prioritised in terms of projects within the Christchurch area, but also take it forward into the government to prioritise this as a great project, badly needed in our community. So I hope I can get your support for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Now we have hit the 5-minute mark, but I will ask if there are any questions for Don while we've got him here.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. No worries. No worries. Look, did you agree?
Just one really quick one. I'm sorry to be the person that asks questions all day. So my understanding was that the principals of the schools weren't keen on it going through school anymore. So because we did quite a bit of work at the beginning with them around seeing how we could make it work. In fact, we put money on our budget for lighting and things like that. And then we sort of left it with our local MP to follow up with them in terms of how that may work going forward. The feedback we've had, unless I've got it wrong, was that they weren't supportive of that. So is there someone at the ministry that's supportive, perhaps, that we could talk to, that you're aware of? Or
my understanding that they are agreeable to the southeastern pathway that goes around the boundary of the school.
Right.
So they're supportive of that. I think it was largely based on the lack of ministry funding for it. They couldn't see a way forward in that direction. But I think it'll be a huge asset to the school as well to have that safe access. Save people trespassing onto their property to get a shortcut, as I did during the week.
No, that's
and
good
also,
to know. That's all that area.
Yes.
We've always been very keen to. So
appreciate that. Thank you.
Great.
But not only for my grandchildren, but for many others.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Don, for taking the time to come along to Public Forum. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, no worries.
Cheers.
So we have another public forum, which is for City Care Property. So I believe, hi there, Hannah. Oh, it's lovely to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, so 5 minutes and for yours.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Hana toku ingoa, ko City Care Property toku mahi. My name is Hannah. I am from City Care Property. I'm the community activator, soon to be community partnership advisor. So the role that I hold now was a newly established role at City Care Property about 1.5 years ago. And in the last 1.5 years, I've established many great relationships with a number of elected members of council, not from here, sorry. I know most of you do not know me yet, but I've worked very closely with some of the other wards, and I'm coming here now. And also the council governance team across Christchurch, such as Natalie. And the other organizations within the CCHL group, such as Eco Central, and the who is who in the social community spaces, like the community leads, as well as community groups across Christchurch. So CityCare Property in the last 1.5 years has actively sought and supported community-initiated efforts through various means, including providing resources that might not be available to community groups either for free or through utilizing our relationships with our suppliers and partners so they can get it at cost at a discounted price. Where and when we are not able to provide assistance, we also try our best to facilitate connections with our existing contacts. So a bit of background on me. I founded Aotearoa Multicultural Women Association, which started right here in this library 2 years ago in that room over there. So this is like coming home. We have moved to Hornby because this room was closed during COVID and we needed a place, and Hornby Community Centre is a privately owned establishment, so it's different. At around the same time, I also founded, I'm still running Aotearoa Adaptive Archery. It's an archery coaching and advocacy service for tamariki and rangatahi with disabilities, which I run in partnership with Christchurch Archery Club. And we will be moving to McLean's Island in the next couple of years. So I might come to you for funding, I don't know. I do this at no cost for the whanau and the tamariki as well. I also sit on the board of Archery New Zealand, which provides governance to the sport of archery and all our members nationally. And I am the international and foundation director for Hornby Rotary Club. And I work very closely with Mark Peters, who's on council. So wearing so many hats and being actively involved in the community made it easy for me to help CityCare establish the role. I understand the pain points of community groups, and I can empathize with the issues that they face. And after 1.5 years of actively working with some of the elected council members, the community development and recreation advisors, as well as the community partnership ranger, I also understand the pain points of all of you. So for example, one of the first activities I helped organize was Brighten Up Brighton, where I worked closely with Joe Zervos back in last year, October. And we worked closely with Valerie Merriweather. We organized a huge cleanup basically for the whole area. And we saw 120 volunteers coming through and cleaning up the whole New Brighton Mall. So in some projects that I've project managed, they're big and they needed long-term support. So for example, the building of for blind and deaf Donald Gibson at building a studio for him when he had to move out. So that took a few months, and also the moving of Riccarton Community Garden from Peveril Street to their new location in Dilworth Street. But others are short projects. They could just be providing mulch, planting events, and so on. So if you have any projects that you're looking at doing, there are many opportunities. I cannot say yes to everything, although I would love to, but I don't own CityCare. You all actually do. But that should not stop you from reaching out to me if you know of one. And potentially some of the other organizations within the CCHL group might be able to support or partner with for this project as well. And on a side note, I am also a Tafariki champion. Tafariki is a cross-collaboration platform for everyone under the CCHL group. And Council is the latest organization to have come on board. He has many, many benefits, and I encourage all of you, as long as you have a @ccc.govt.nz email, you will have access to Tafariki. So email me for more information. I'm giving you my name card, 5 minutes.
Thank you. Oh, well done.
Thank you.
A fantastic pitch of all the amazing stuff that you do, Hannah, and it's wonderful to finally meet you. Does anyone have any questions?
Whoa, I spoke so fast.
Yeah, no, you did a fantastic job.
You've got everything in that you needed to.
Yeah, thank you. What we'll do is if we, I'm sure it'll take us a bit of, it won't take us long for us to connect with you later around what are some ways that we can use your incredible services. So we'll probably be in touch, if not soon, then definitely in the new year.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kira.
That's right. Okay, so that wraps up public forum. So for everyone who came along to public forum, thank you so much for your time. You're more than welcome to leave. You don't have to stay for the rest of the board meeting. So yeah, thank you. So that moves us on to item number 7, presentation of petitions, which I believe we have none. Oh, sorry. And we do not have any deputations either. So that takes us to item number 8, which is the reserve as legal road, Sefton Street, Belfast. So Colin.
Happy to move.
Oh, well, Colin, is there anything you'd like to add that isn't in?
No, Bridget, I'll take it that the community board have read the report and happy to take any questions.
No,
Good report.
it's a great report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colin.
First report.
What we'll do is well done. So we need a mover for item 8. So that was Linda. And then a seconder. Oh, I saw Aaron to second. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? No, carried. Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colin.
Thank you.
So moving on to item number 9, which is proposed road names, and we have Paul, I believe. Paul, hello? Is he online?
No. Let's see.
We could hold that, move to item 10, and then maybe come back to item 9. Yeah.
I'll email them.
Okay. All right. So we'll just jump to number 10, which is proposed parking restrictions for Norman's Road. And we have Georgia here. Kia ora, Georgia. Yeah. Okay. Well,
I have a few reports, so
yeah,
I'll sit down.
that's all good.
Pretty straight.
Yeah, it's straightforward, but is there anything you'd like to add in the?
Not really, it's all in the report, but if anyone had any questions.
I'll second.
Okay, all right. No, it seems like quite a straightforward one, something that the area really needs and is finding, to be quite a tax, so that makes sense. Okay, so we have, was that Sam to move? And then David to second? All those in favour say aye. Aye. Any against? No, carried, great. And then that takes us to item number 11, which is Beechwood Drive.
Happy to move.
Second.
Okay, we'll just slow it down for Mark, you're right. So that was Aaron to move, and was that David?
Aye.
David to second. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those in favour?
Aye.
Any against? No, carried. Great. Which takes us to item 12, Jeffreys Road. So Georgia, would you like to take us through this, if there's anything to add?
Sure.
No?
Well, this just came through as a request from a resident as well, about visibility issues at the intersection of Jeffreys Road and Brindle Road. So we're just proposing no stopping restrictions to help clear sightlines a bit.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Happy to
Happy to move. Happy to second.
Yeah. Oh, I saw David to move, and then we'll have James to second. David. James. All those in favour, say aye. Aye. Any against? Carried. And then item number 13. Is that, I think that's it from you, Georgia, isn't it?
From me, yeah.
Is it? Hey, well, thank you so much for all your work this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just need to message.
We need a.
Can you?
We
Well,
jump.
No, well, that's what I meant. I might. Do we
We
really
can.
need it? It's like to you.
Yeah,
Just this
go
one.
back to that one.
We'll do that. Should we do it after this? Sorry, we're just doing the agenda around. We're gonna, so item number 13. Yes, so this is for the Clyde Road, Greers Road safety improvements.
Happy to move.
Oh, okay. Is there anything to add to the?
If the board's happy with the report, there's nothing to add.
That was David to move, and then this is for item 13. David move, and then Linda to second. Excellent. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Any against? No, carried. Great. I know we're going to move to item 14, but we're just going to quickly jump back to item 9 because it's quite straightforward. So moving back to item 9, this is for Craig Road.
I'll move.
Happy to move. Thanks, James.
That's something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'll happy to second that.
That was Jason to second. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Any against? Carried. Great. And now jumping back down to item number 14 for the Island Road safety improvements. So have you got a question?
I have a question. We're hearing reports from the community that there's, and you would have heard social housing up here in Te Raviva, people starting to loiter in bits and pieces. There's a park bench just on the corner here. What's the opportunity to remove it?
Yeah, so that actually came up as part of the consultation with the business owners there.
Yep.
And so we had 2 businesses ask if we could explore that it be removed.
Yep.
And we've passed it on to the staff at council. It turns out it can be.
Yep.
And we have checked with the 2 businesses that is outside, so the pharmacy, there's one outside there, and then there's one outside the vape shop, and
Yep.
both those business owners are quite happy for them to be removed.
So do we need to amend this to do that? Or is it
It's a
something that
separate
happens?
process, yeah.
Okay.
I've got like a follow-up question, kind of add on from yours, David. If we were to remove it, could it be relocated to another position? Like a more appropriate position?
I'm not sure. That sits with that council team, but we can explore that with them. Yep.
Any other questions with item number 14?
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure about the exact process here, but is there opportunity for any of the public to be consulted on this beyond the consultation that was done with the business owners? Because I've been recently made aware of these proposed changes, and it hasn't seemed to be wider consultation on this. I'm not sure whether you've got a process to speak for me, but I can see any other opportunity.
Yeah, so unfortunately, when it gets to this stage here, the consultation has already happened. And normally public forum is an opportunity to speak, or a deputation is an opportunity to speak to an issue like this. It's one of those things where if the board doesn't have all of the information in front of them, then there are opportunities for us to lay this on the table. But it might be helpful to maybe seek. Are there any other options, Mark, around what can be done with?
No, I think that's the option there. If there's any staff advice, but respond.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Apologies for the difference that's caused. I was only made aware that this was an event activity coming up yesterday, so I wasn't able to fully add a deputation on the working time process.
Yeah. 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 Oh, sorry. Aaron?
So just a question on process. Does the chair have the discretion to suspend standing orders for 5 minutes, receive the information and move on?
Yeah, can we do that?
Those forms.
And like deputation?
Yeah.
And then and then we'd ask
Staff to let him come and
Yeah.
speak.
Okay.
So,
That would
Saves putting anything off.
yeah, that would be quite good to do.
That's right, well, they are.
All right.
Thanks.
Just getting some advice. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have staff step back from the table, and we'll take your presentation as a late deputation on this particular matter. So if you're welcome to come to the table.
Okay, I'll
And
quick.
it would also be great to, if you could introduce yourself.
Yep.
And maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be done in 5 minutes. Kia ora koutou, ko Liam Whakuinga. I'm a local resident. I live technically in Papineau Ward, but this has always been my library, local church, etc. I was only recently made aware of these proposed changes, and while I am absolutely in support of improved safety problems to this, I have been made aware that there might be inconsistencies with council policies regarding equity and access for people with disabilities. given the potential removal of park benches. And additionally with children's policy as well, conditions of access and such. And in addition to that, while I understand that the council has processes about how they assign significance to particular things, I think that the council has been limited in who it has consulted, given it said there were 26 businesses or 41 residents. But at the same time, within the report, it is pointed out that this is a key local hub. It's not just the people around it, it's all the people coming through the bus lane, all the people coming through because of the schools, the Jelly Park, etc. So making such a big decision on that sort of thing, especially given the fact there's going to be social housing in that area, I think has perhaps a bit rushed, especially given that within policy guidance regarding health design for health and prevention, HPSTED, the environmental design for health and promoting sustainability, that removing of the benches in this context would decrease access, and it would also decrease community sense of like, these are where people can come, especially with the context of Sarah Pallett's office just being there. There's only one bench and there's only one, there's also mentioned the potential for relocation of cycle parking. If that was removed instead, there would be no cycle parking beyond over right near the supermarket. So there's a big access issue right there. And I don't think that the council has adequately consulted with the wider local community beyond the businesses that are immediately affected in this area. It's not against any of the other safety planning, which is great, but it doesn't seem like it's been integrated with the wider community and potential changes that are going on with the North Arc and integrated into a wider cycle and pedestrian program. Yeah.
And now I'm really sorry again, but can we just grab your name one more time?
Yes, Liam Boardman, Liam.
Liam?
Yep, and Boardman, Boardman.
All right. Thank you, Liam. So we've got a bit of time for questions. Absolutely. Does anyone have any questions for Liam?
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a question. So, absolutely. So the item that what item are you speaking to?
Speaking to the Clyde Island safety improvements. Okay. And that was given the discussion around the benches. I didn't see others. Yeah. So with that particular question, no decision has been made around the absolutely potential. It's purely the board is just wanting to figure out what information we can get about that. Absolutely. So no decision has been made on the benches. It's purely to do with the other issues. I just, given the speed, I understand that lots of things are like, yes, we're agreeing on this, but it was quite a rapid pace. So I was like, just wanted to make sure that this was on the table before you had that discussion. Yeah, no, and thank you, Liam, for taking that time. Yeah. So all of the agendas have gone to the board members, but we all get the opportunity to read all of the. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not disputing any of I'm not saying the board has done anything wrong or anything bad. It's just I think that this particular item there is a wider context that's not presented as part of that report. Yeah. Right. Well, we've got your name, and what we could do is we could also get your contact details going forward. So then when it comes to issues around the bench, for example, and like it's very, very early days. It's just what a question that that is we've only just been made aware about it today. Then we can keep you in the loop if this is something that you'd like to be kept in the loop about. Yeah. Okay. And I don't think that's all, but if you've got any questions, absolutely. Wait. No, fantastic. Yeah, so Natalie's just in the corner there. So she's the person that you can go to pass on your details. Yeah. Cool. So just want to make that clear. Today we're not making any decisions about the bench. Not the bench, but thank you for coming along and and filling us in. Yeah. So you're welcome to come back, sit back into the gallery. Yep, absolutely. We'll invite staff to come back to speak to item 14. Thanks, guys. Hi. So we've just had Liam come and speak to us about the consultation and about the process. Bear in mind that a part of it is a separate issue, but is there anything you'd like to speak to about consultation that took place with this particular issue?
Just that I think it's important to note that the issue around the benches is obviously not part of this decision, and that will go back to staff and then go through the appropriate process for that, which should include some engagement with the right stakeholders. So this was a pretty low-level safety improvements project, and we had face-to-face conversations with all the local businesses, and then sent information flyers out to the immediate area, those people that would be directly affected by the safety improvements.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so did we have a mover and a seconder for this? Oh, sorry, David, yes.
For a sec, when we do safety improvements, are we doing, and I forget the acronym, SIPTED with it as well?
So in terms of road safety,
Yep.
no, we don't do the SIPTED as well, but when there's other issues that have been raised by the business owners,
Yep.
then yes, that could be considered as part of any bench removal.
Cool, okay. Happy to move.
All right, thank you, David. So this is for item number 14. Any seconder?
No, it's just, it's a question.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Is it just, I might be missing it. Is there a speed change?
Not yet. So that will come through as part of the speed management plan for 24-27 when we look at all the suburban centres. It was muted, but just with the current changes in the rule for setting speed limits, they'll be done at a network level in the next round of speed management. So there's no permanent speed limit change as part of this. They'll have the advisory 25 signs with the hump signs at the platforms.
So those humps are designed for 25k an hour?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and we're not making a decision on humps. Why is that?
You are making a decision on humps.
Which is the hump decision?
It's part of that.
It's part of number one. So you're approving the plan.
Oh, you're approving everything?
Yeah.
Oh.
Except the bench.
Not the bench. Not the bench.
Yeah.
Not the bench.
Sorry.
Okay. So it's all or nothing then?
Humps.
Well, I've just got an issue with the humps and the delivery of them and other, I mean, have you used the Lincoln Road one? Like if the term abominations to be used for a road, that's called abomination corner now. Police can't go through it. Even it's a posted 50k road.
Yeah.
And you had it, and the new what are they, Saabs or whatever, Scooters are made for flat European roads. They do not like that, but I'm not sold on humps yet. That's my thing.
Okay, so are you suggesting a motion to
amend?
Well, it's
Yeah, then we
all-
can move on.
I don't know that we can do that the way it's written.
We can rewrite it.
Yeah, well, we've had, so David has, oh, sorry, Mark, yeah.
And let's get it.
No.
So if you want to change it before it's.
Yep.
Yeah, but we'll have to then vote, won't we, if we want to have Aaron's amendment?
Move it. Perhaps if Aaron wants to move something that's changed at this point of the board and general agreement, or David prefers to move it as is and get a seconder.
Yeah.
And then look for an amendment.
Okay.
But just skip to perhaps whether Aaron wants to move and someone wants to second that and just change it from the start as to what's moved in the beginning.
Right, yeah. Okay, so Aaron, with the amendment that you'd like to make of removing, is that what you would like to
I
do?
feel from the table would be nice first, but it'll just be the raised platforms is the only bit that I have any issue with. I'm happy with everything else.
Yeah.
Tactile pavers, all that, the curb realignment, that will slow people down anyway.
Yep.
But the raised humps is.
As mover, I'm prepared to stand down from moving in support of Aaron's change.
Yeah. I'm just going to pause as well, just to make sure that we don't rush any of this, see whether, and come back to staff, see whether this is something that we can actually do.
Even do, yeah.
Well, the biggest safety benefits come from the raised humps being on the approaches. So it slows everyone down coming into the intersection, because then it removes that kinetic energy if someone gets hit by someone traveling quite fast. And that was something that business owners did raise, that they noticed is the number of near misses and the speed that people travel through the intersection. So they were quite comfortable with the humps because it was going to slow down people around the shops, and they would support a permanent speed reduction as well in that space.
Actually, if we're going to have a permanent speed reduction within the short period of time, it's non-effect having the raised things, we can save money.
There'll still be,
Follow the speed limit, so therefore we don't need to have those raised humps.
so we can change the speed limit, but that doesn't necessarily always change the operating speed of a road. And the intersection is where we've got quite a few crashes involving vulnerable road users, including people on bikes.
So how many crashes would we have at this intersection in the last 6 months?
In the last 6 months, the crash data wouldn't be that current, so we look at a full
12
year
months?
up to 2021.
In 12 months in this intersection?
So over the 10-year period, we've had 6 cyclists being cleaned out at the intersection, 1 pedestrian being hit, and a motorcyclist as well, being quite significantly injured.
So one significantly injured person in 10 years.
There was a serious crash involving 2 vehicles as well. So it's not just vulnerable road users that's been hit, there's been
Okay. And how does that stand across elsewhere in the city?
so it's not as high risk as other locations, but it does still sit as a medium risk because of the amount of traffic that goes through there and the amount of
So
people
why aren't we looking
moving
at high
around.
risk intersections first?
We are. So there's a program being delivered. This came through in the CRAF road safety priorities, which was assessed in 2021. I understand. I wasn't there at the time. So I'm just delivering this part of the project.
What's the rough cost of this?
400,000.
Are we better to, as a board, are we better to save it, reduce not as the raised platform? We're going to have changes of speed. We can save money. We're known for being proactive. We're having a change of the law on the speed limits on the road. It will be affecting everybody in the city, across the city, whether we like it or not. I'm put forward that we should be changing.
So just a second, that does come out of the CRAF road safety funding, so it's not part of the normal.
If this is only a medium risk intersection, we'd be able to divert that money to a high risk, more needy intersection.
And we'll probably only be saving a small amount of money on the humps that wouldn't then cover another intersection.
It's about 350 or thereabouts in total, isn't it? So it's not hump portion.
No.
Yeah. My only concern is as well is that this has gone out to consultation with the affected business owners.
Yep.
And the fact that they want that, and you would expect that they would probably be, if there's going to be anyone that would be, anti-humps with noise, it would be them, but the fact that they've actually be supportive of that.
So could we do raised platforms like up here at Fenelon Road, outside the BP, where the intersections are, where they're just a hump, as opposed to what we've got Lincoln Road with this whole up?
Yeah, so they are more like a normal
The Fenelon
hump.
Road ones, they're not Lincoln Road.
They're not the table like Lincoln Road, no.
It's called a table, is it?
The Lincoln Road's a table, yes.
Right.
Whereas this is more like your general local road speed hump.
The business on the corner, that was ram rated recently, wasn't it? Is that correct? Is it the, just to make sure I've got the right one, I'm just like, the dairy on there was just recently ram rated.
Is there dairies left?
Yeah,
Sorry, it's called
Alex Vape Shop. Yeah.
Oh, so it's a vape shop.
Yeah.
Is that what was?
Once the speed is 25k, they won't be able to ram rate it.
Do they apply for this?
No.
All right, we'll regroup again. So with the information that we now know, are we comfortable with the recommendation that we have before us, or Aaron, do you still have?
Yeah, I was just posing the question. So if it's more like the Fenelon one.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with the table. I'm happy with a hump.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, all right. Okay, any other questions?
Learn something new today. Just to confirm, so the businesses, again, just to confirm, most of the key stakeholders in that area are all in favour of this?
Yeah, so from all businesses we spoke to, everyone was generally very happy with any safety improvements. The only comments we got about disliking the raised humps was from Frank's Liquor, who wanted us to move it back so that it didn't cause issues with delivery trucks going to the driveway. So changes have been made to the proposal so that it's a little bit further back and it won't impact their driveway. But other than that, yeah, every business was very keen to see people slow down at the intersection.
Yeah, great. And great to hear that you've taken that into account and have amended that. Excellent.
Happy to move that, Bridget.
Thank you, Jason.
Happy to see.
Thank you, David. So that was Jason to move and David to second for item 14. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Any against? No, carried. Great. Thank you very much. Robust discussion. Okay. Moving on to item number 15, which is the discretionary response fund application. So we have Natalie and Lisa.
Yeah, this is just one of those ones that we've got as a result of the boundary changes. So the school has traditionally applied to our neighbouring board for funding, and it's basically $50 each for 12 youth leaders to attend a 2-day camp. So it's really good value for money. And they bond as a team and they learn about leadership and roles, and it supports them throughout the year at school. So
Excellent. All right. So that was, any questions beforehand?
Can I briefly speak to it?
Yes, Aaron.
Because I know this program well from being on that board in the past. Can I just say that of all the money the council ever invests anywhere across the city, this is possibly the best $600 spent. Belfast has had some issues in the past with some of the people that have lived there. The school was never that highly rated. Once they switched to this program, and I think this has gone all the way through to Papanui High School, who used to also have a bit of a bad name, that you take a program that's gone into one school, it's a feeder school to the local high school, and you change the culture and behaviour in that school, one of the rougher schools in the area, all the way to high school, and it's made a massive difference and has probably saved our community tens of thousands of dollars in damage from kids that could have easily gone off the rails, that actually become really competent leaders within a community and change the entire culture and behaviour at school. This is the best $600 we'll probably spend in the year. I just wanted to lay that on the table because seeing it in action has been phenomenal.
Would you like to, oh no, we already had a mover, sorry. No, you lost a chance. There's such a speech, Aaron.
I just had to mention it because it is, for anyone that gets to go see it, it is, and you would have seen it, Natalie, unbelievable. The kids and the behaviour at that school has changed so much since that program began. And just the whole way that they do the program, and that's hats off to the Papanui Youth Development Crew as well, that know how to work with that particular sector of our society and make change.
Excellent. All right. Well, we had Linda to move, and was it Sharish to second? All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? No, carried. Great. Thank you.
I'll just approve mine as well, if that's okay. Mine's boring.
Oh, World Cup's on at the moment.
Great. So much, Natalie and Lisa. Thank you for all your work this year as well. All right, moving on to item number 16. We have Marianne on governance matters.
Okay, so this is Aidan's wee report, but as you hear, he's still suffering from some COVID symptoms. So basically, this is just a proposed outline of meeting dates for the next term. We have stuck to that second Monday of the month, which made, I was a bit surprised. I was trying to figure out how on earth the 6th is the second Monday, but apparently it's all about when council falls, when the date falls in terms of council meetings. So if it's on a Wednesday, or if the first of the month is prior to a Wednesday or on a Wednesday, then that's considered the first week of the month. So that would make the Monday the 6th, the second week. So it took me a while to figure that out. And there's a couple of days, I think, that we've had to move to the Tuesday because of public holidays. So hopefully those will be okay. I think there's only one or two. But of course, the chair, in conjunction with myself in this report, have the ability to make changes and add meetings if need be and that kind of thing.
So Mary, just to be clear, so you're saying that the Monday that we have a meeting, there's always a council meeting that Wednesday?
No, if the council meet on the Wednesday, the first Wednesday of the month, so if that falls on like the 1st or 2nd of March,
then
that Monday following that is considered the second week of March. So we've been told board meetings have to be held on the second week of each month.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Any other questions? Aaron, any questions? Any other questions? Okay.
Any debate?
Don't encourage it. All right.
The only thing I wondered whether we could just add in, and it's not, we have to decide on now, but just whether we could request that we consider potentially the odd meeting out in the community throughout the term as well. We talked about it at, I think, Bishopdale Library last time.
Yeah.
And then COVID sort of got in the way, but maybe one or two.
Yeah,
around.
I think the difficulty now is that we live stream the meeting, so it's just that technology thing of having the ability to do that wherever it is that we go.
Yeah.
And we've had some pretty bad experiences at Bishopdale with technology, so, but certainly we'll look at some opportunities to do that at places we know that we can link up, still live stream.
Okay.
Nice.
Great. Excellent. All right. I'm happy to move for item 16. I second it. Thank you, Suresh. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? No? Carried. Great. And moving on to item number 17 with Marianne again to go through the community board area report.
Thank you, Bridget. I'll take the report as read and really just want to highlight the great work that my team has done over the last 12 months. And there's some really good results starting to come through on a number of projects, and you'll see that in the report. And just finally, want to congratulate and thank Lisa, who's still in the room, I hope, for a very, very successful Celebrate Bishopdale event that turned out to be very warm in the end. And it was great to have it back after a couple of years of cancellation due to COVID. So, yeah, happy to take any questions if you've got them.
Great. Sam? Trish, second. Great. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Carried. And then moving on to number 18, elected members information exchange. So is there any items? Yes, David.
I was wondering if there's any update on the Wings to Wheels bike path, and if there's given maybe a change of appetite in the community for it not wanting to go forward, if we can ask for an update on.
I'm sure we can ask for an update. Yeah. We can find out an update, possibly.
I mean, if there's an opportunity to, I know it's been heavily consultated. It's cost us millions already, but is there a chance to, now that we've, the environment's changed?
I think an update in general would be quite helpful to know.
Yep.
Regardless of stage, yeah.
Yep.
Jason.
Yeah, there's one for me. I'm just struggling at the moment with some just kind of maintenance stuff where I'll snap sense old things, and I've done it on multiple occasions over in Northwood at the request of the Northwood Residents Association. And normally they're pretty good, but like overgrown vegetation, blocking visibility of traffic and things like this. And it's on Aidan's list, I think, but obviously he's been out of action, but it's just not getting addressed. There's normally the bushes get trimmed, the out of alignment curbing and things on a footpath that's a trip hazard gets addressed. But for some reason, I seem to be struggling in Northwood at the moment getting some things done with that kind of just general maintenance stuff. The other thing just on Northwood is we've finally got the Northwood sign replaced.
Oh, that's great.
So that's actually reinstill a little bit of pride in the entrance to Northwood that was sadly lacking for a while with a couple of those letters missing. So thank the staff that have just kind of gone out and made that happen, because it was one of those things I've just said I will sort. So there's a positive news story, which is good.
So if they put like metal leases back on, or is it painted?
Yeah. No, it's not painted. It's steel ones that look quite nice that are bolted in there.
I think they might have just been painting it on.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
I've got a couple, just to follow up on Jason's about SnapStem. So I've got a couple that's on Aidan's list as well, just about overgrown vegetation and things like that. And it would say it's been resolved, or I had like a tree tech guy call me and I tell him it's not a tree issue, it's an overgrown vegetation, like they just need to come and mow the lawn. And he would say, oh, I'll refer it to the right people, but then it just says it's been resolved, but then nothing's been done. So I've had to put in a few more times for the residents. And I think I've got one more that's with Aiden at the moment, but it's just about Greers and the court, like the intersection on Greers and Waireki Road. There's like a left-hand lane and a straight and right-hand lane. So there's quite a lot of near accidents. Do you know the intersection I'm talking about? So people who are wanting to go straight and realize there's a car in front of them wanting to turn right, they try to like go into the left hand, like, you know, it's a bit of a muck up. And I remember a few years ago, our traffic guy said that it's really outdated and they're looking into it. But because we've had quite a few traffic managers like change over, it's just been lost in the works. So there's been a couple of near like accidents in that area just the past couple of weeks. And it'll be good if we could get someone to actually look into it. Yeah.
You've got definitely appropriate staff are sitting in the room to do that.
Oh, thank you.
Great. So something that happened recently, myself, Nicola and Linda, we went along to our last community liaison meeting, which was the Christmas lunch. And I just want to make a special shout out to Natalie, who made the entire spread. She did the whole lunch spread.
And dessert.
It was fantastic. And it was such a great way to end the year.
Yeah.
No, you missed out. You missed out.
On council day. That's
And Bridget and I played that.
Oh yeah. It was
a giant Jenga.
Yeah, it was great. Who were the people that came along? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
Canterbury Cricket and the Play Activators.
Yeah, Play Activators. Yeah. What was it? It was called Creative or Freedom Free Play.
They
Creative
made
Play.
us play.
Anyway, it was
Took
great.
us outside and made us play. No, lots of different things.
I only wish they told us in advance so we'd be in our active wear, not
No, fantastic. Thank you so much. Anything else? Yes.
One last one, it
Okay.
just reminded me. With Snaps and Solve, I wonder if we could just get checked with staff what's been going on, because there was some categories where I was getting phone calls from people within there saying, they was having technical difficulties with Snaps and Solve. So people putting in submissions and then a lack of information coming through, or the photo not going through, and only commentary. And there was some issues called a little while ago around that. And I was just curious to get an update on what the state of Snaps and Solve is, and if there were any known issues that have been being worked through or may have been resolved just technically in the back end.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot when they did that. There was like overgrown vegetation week and put a whole bunch of submissions in, and you go into the draw winning $200 voucher. And when they did all this kind of stuff, a few of those different categories, you'd be submitting something, you get a phone call from a guy who was from Tree Tech asking about tree, what was the tree or whatever, and you're, no, it was a overgrown vegetation. So
That's what I got, yeah.
so there was some kind of technical issue, and it'd just be good to know if that had actually been resolved, or if staff were even aware of it.
Yeah, no, I wasn't aware of it.
Because if that's a
So I'll look
citywide
into it.
thing, there's going to be so many community submissions going in for maintenance stuff that's just disappearing or just going haywire.
Because that does kind of fit within the same time frame as they've updated the labels to some of the tickets. So when somebody does a Snaps and Solve, it creates a ticket, and they have gone through and changed the naming of those tickets, of the categories. So it may be something involved with that, but I'll certainly find out. I haven't been aware of any Snaps and Solve issues down at there. Follow that up.
On there, actually, on Snaps and Solve, there was not on our patch anymore. But the big belly bins, I wondered whether there's a way for when they're really full, if there's like whether there's such a thing as having a label made to explain how you can Snaps and Solve. You know what I mean? Like when there's something that can be done, there's the information around how to do a Snaps and Solve.
Or call count. If
On
the
the
bin's
belly
overflowing, or if
bin.
it's broken or something, call this number or send to a Snaps and Solve on this.
Yeah. All right.
Pizza boxes.
Anything else?
Pizza boxes. Yeah, I actually thought the bin had a sensor in it, so I knew it was
Yeah,
full,
it does.
signal. So
But sometimes they're clearly not working.
yeah, but so just one more to raise on David's one around the cycleway. So Councillor Victoria Henstock and myself put a notice of motion in asking that that it's stops where it currently is, so we don't spend any more money, and go ahead and do the traffic lights, which is what the communities actually asked for, and then start the discussion on the cycleway design again to come up with something the community likes. But we found out, and it was meant to be in tomorrow's meeting as a notice of motion, but it got bumped, so it was turned down and not accepted. And so we will get a briefing in the new year on ways forward, so on and so forth. So that's where that's at. But as an organisation, they weren't keen to hit the pause button because it had already been through a process that's got it this far, even though there might be a change at the table.
Right.
Listening to the public was not a key objective at the moment.
Right. Well, that's an interesting update, Aaron. Yeah.
It was an interesting phone call.
Yeah.
When the head of legal brings you to tell you.
No, any other? Yes, Jason.
Quick one about Bishopdale Community Hall. There has been a request from the yoga group, and I don't know whether it is from others, to have a watch in the hall so that people know what time it is. I see that there is
I'm
one here.
pretty sure I could manage that.
Yeah, thank you. That will be much appreciated.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
All right. Anything else? No, great. Well, what we will now do is we've got our closing karakia, which we have up on the screen. So we'll just all stand. Unuhia, unuhia, unuhia ki te uru tapunui, kia wātea, kia maha, te nākau, te tinana, te wairua, I te ara tāpata, koia rā e rongo, whakaia a ke hirona, kia tina, tina, hui e, tai e. Thank you. And we will close our last community board meeting for the year at 5:38 p.m. Excellent.
Well done, Bridget.
Thank you. Well done, everyone. So yeah, I think we're still live. Oh,